If iCloud, that you pay a lot of money to, gets hacked, your pictures and files gone. If you need a stronger computer, you need to pay a lot of money to upgrade your rig. And if you want to use basically any tech, you know you're paying for the big guys. Now, DePIN solves all of this. DePIN stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network, and it basically means that there is a network of some sort from decentralized nodes, decentralized components. So average folks like you and me are able to utilize our unused resources like the storage on our computer, the GPU of our computer, our internet, and leverage that by making passive income through this decentralized network. Now, there are lots of focus areas in DePIN. There are sensors, there is GPU, there is storage, there is internet, but all of them have one thing in common. There is a user and there is a provider. In this video, I'm gonna talk about what DePIN is. I'm gonna bring you a bunch of projects that I'm bullish on and projects that I'm not that bullish on, but people are talking about. And I'm gonna bring you a super gem hidden in the video that I believe have a 100x potential. Now, we both know there are a billion ways to make money in crypto, and I'm on a mission to find them all. My name is 𝗨𝗪𝗏𝗍𝗍. I research and find the possibilities for us to make money, and I share everything with you. So if I make money, you make money too. If you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. I'm serious. Information is power and power translates to money. We are on a mission to build the most profitable community in the world. By subscribing, you will get the latest and most amazing alpha in the crypto space every single day. And if you're returning, show these guys, smash the like button, leave a comment, and let me know what you want me to look at next, what opportunities you see out there. I read and reply to every single comment. So first, to talk about all the DePIN projects and why you should look at it, I want you to understand really what DePIN is. DePIN is an acronym for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. Now, this is the term that we use for all the projects that build decentralized networks through people leveraging average people's resources to compete with massive tech giants. This can be basically to anything. So we're talking about storage space, iCloud. You don't use iCloud, but you rather keep your files in a decentralized manner through one of these projects on maybe 1,000 or 2,000 computers. Or you can use GPUs. You don't need to upgrade your rig to render massive 3D files or visuals or videos. You can just outsource that work to someone who already has a computer and plugged into one of these projects. And there are a bunch of projects where you can buy an actual device that has utility, and for running that device, you will gain rewards or coins. I'll show you examples of all this later in the video, so keep watching. One of the things I love about DePIN is that DePIN is like the Robin Hood of crypto, because this is the first time where big giant corporations and big companies with big money pay the small guys and not vice versa. You see, when you and me lend out our storage space and our GPUs for big corporations to use, it's not only that they get it cheaper, it's not only that they get it more convenient and more faster in basically an unlimited capacity, but we get paid for it. Now, usually all projects have two key stakeholders: the buyers, the users of the project or the network, and the providers, the ones who actually operate the infrastructure. From a user perspective, it's cheaper because you don't need all these big corporations taking all these profits. You can utilize average people like us, get your computer for storage, for GPU, whatever that is, and pay us the fraction of the cost that you would pay for some big corporation for the same service. Number two, it's more secure. Because it's decentralized, there is no central point of failure. Now, I don't want to get into the weeds how these work, but they never keep your entire file on one computer. They take it down into thousands and thousands of bits or pieces and spread it out on the network. So you never are at a risk of a central point of failure or a hacker attack. And number three, it's uncensored. So because there is no central point or central entity that could say what you can and what you cannot do with your files or your pictures, they cannot limit you because it's decentralized. So this also gives an extra layer of attractiveness to this whole thing. Now, the other side of the story is the providers. Basically, every single person who has a computer and who has internet can utilize these infrastructures, provide their unused resources, so resources that you would not use if you have a computer with 500 gigabytes of storage space, but you only use 100, then you might want to think about providing storage to one of these projects and earn passive income. So rewards or earnings come in the form of the token. So this is why each project has a token that they pay out for the people who operate the networks. So why is DePIN interesting for corporations and for average people? Well, number one is decentralized. From decentralization comes security As I said, because it's not a central point of failure, comes permissionlessness, meaning it is permissionless, therefore there is no essential point, a central entity that can ban someone, for example, or restrict your access to the platform. Or there is no geolocation, there is no country that can limit who is able to run the network or not. Talking about governments and locations, it's very important to understand that by utilizing DePIN, you can deploy any kind of infrastructure through average people much faster than a central entity or a corporation could. For example, if you need to monitor the roads in a certain city, you can just put up an extra incentive through a token to the people living in that city, put up an advertisement, and people can come on, buy these devices, deploy in their own windows, and you already covered the entire city, where this would probably cost millions and millions of dollars for a corporation. I know there is a huge potential in DePIN, but to tell you the truth, I did not want to make this video first because I have a little bit of PTSD from Helium. I was very, very early. I bought hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of devices. I did very, very well. I made 7 figures in Helium, but then as fast as it came, that fast it went down. But this is what happens at the bear market. Projects fly and then they crash. So this is why we really need to make sure that we invest early. That's why you want to keep watching this video. If I said I have massive PTSD from this, you might be asking why I wanted to look at it again. And the reason is because everybody's talking about it on Twitter, and I looked at Google Trends. As you see, a massive increase in the past 12 months, and that tells me that people are interested in this, and if people are interested in this and the tech is there and the whole idea behind creating decentralized network is there, then there is money to be made, and that is exactly what I wanted to jump into. Now, since then, we do have a lot of subcategories of DePIN. Helium showed that it is possible, and projects are coming in the server sector, in infrastructure, in sensors, and wireless. I picked some of the projects that I believe have great potential. I picked some of the projects that people are talking about it, but I don't think that it has great potential. And I have a 100x potential gem that I'm gonna share with you as well. So let's jump into it. And so there are several things I want to talk about here. Number one, the subcategories. So we have server. This categorizes very nicely here. On the server, we've got storage, which means cloud storage. So you at home, plug in your computer, connect to the network, people can keep files on your computer. You see some of the projects here. Then we have compute, which is usually GPU power. So computer power you need for game rendering, video rendering, 3D editing, all that kind of stuff. The other ones are not that relevant. We've got warehouse, data warehouse, VPNs, CDNs. I don't really want to talk about it because I don't see the potential in these areas. For me, the big one in this section is storage and compute. Both will be very much needed. If you look at compute, if you look at Nvidia, basically the 3rd biggest company in the world right now based on market cap, and if you look at storage, the amount of information that we consume and we create, these 2 areas are gonna be extremely lucrative. In the storage, there are 2 projects that I think are really worth mentioning, Arweave and Filecoin. They're both similar, they do the same thing, but they do differentiate a little bit, which I'm gonna jump into. So Filecoin is a decentralized storage network designed to store humanity's most important information. What they are saying here is that Filecoin is specializing on archive kind of data. That means data that you put on there you don't really use every single day. So they focus on archives and corporate data that you don't really use every day. You've got all your accounting, all your database and everything just stored through this network and put in there. And then there is Arweave. Now Arweave's main focus is to store data and information that needs to be retrieved in a high-paced environment or a high-performance environment. That means, for example, decentralized applications and information that you need on an everyday basis. Now, as you can imagine, you can join both of them as nodes. So if you visit their network, you will be able to apply and see the requirements also for Arweave and for Filecoin. They both have a different requirements because one is archive kind of data and the other one is a very high-paced environment. For Arweave, you will need to go through a lot more things, but it is possible to join, and by joining and providing storage space and a very nice uptime, you will be able to earn these coins. Now, the question comes, would I invest in any of these tokens? If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I believe that this might be the last bull market where we can make generational wealth. And I mean 50x, 100x, 1000x. Now, I did some digging and I found out that the size of the cloud storage market will be around predicted to be around 500 billion by 2030. Now, if it is $500 billion, a coin with $20 billion FDV, fully diluted market cap or fully diluted valuation, does not make sense for me. Again, I might be completely wrong, not financial advice, these are just my opinions. So I would definitely not buy into Filecoin However, what I would do is I would look at Arweave at 1.92 billion. This makes a lot more sense. So if you want to get exposure to this space and if you want to pick one of these, I would rather go with Arweave. Also, I know that they have massive breakthroughs coming to the crypto space. I'm not gonna buy neither. I don't hold neither of them, but if I would have to choose, I would buy Arweave. The reason why I'm not buying is because I know that there are much better investments like these. Let's go. The next coin I want to mention here is Render. Of course, we can't go into DePIN without mentioning Render. Now, Render is the decentralized distributed GPU rendering on the blockchain. So let's say you're a designer and you have a very strong computer, a very strong GPU, you can utilize that on the times that you actually don't use it. So other video editors and other people using 3D modeling and whatever requires a lot of GPU can utilize this. They can upload the file through a render network and they can get it rendered on your computer. Now, if you look at NVIDIA, you see the massive growth they had, and that's because there is no supply of GPUs that can match the demand. So I do see a use case here. If I look it up, I saw that there is $770 billion market size for GPUs predicted for 2032. So this could have a decent potential. I looked at the coin, whether I would buy it or not. I see that it has about a 4 billion FDV, and that means that compared to the projected size of the market by 2032, the 4 billion FDV does not sound that bad. They are at all-time high. I might want to wait it to a little bit cool down, but I am planning on adding some render. I think the market is going to be big and this could be an interesting project. Let's jump on to the next one. Now, this is the time for me to give you the project that I believe can pull 100x. But before I do that, I want to make a little disclosure. And the disclosure is that they are my very first sponsors. Now, because they are my first sponsors, it's very important for me to put this out there. We rejected over 10 sponsors the last month because I did not genuinely believe in them. I promise you that anything I bring onto my show will be something that I genuinely, truly believe and will always be transparent with you. This is the case here as well. So there is a project that I personally invested quite some time now. I did some research and I genuinely think they are one of the best plays in DePIN right now. If I would have to categorize them, I would put them somewhere here in the middle because they have a little bit of everything and much more. They are called OPSEC. I would have put OPSEC in this video either way, but the fact that they sponsored it shows me the commitment and the willingness that they're going to go through. OPSEC is basically the getaway from the Matrix, in my opinion. They are building Ethereum on steroids. The basic idea is to pioneer the next generation of decentralized supercomputer applications. They are basically the infrastructure that will provide all that. They're building something that will challenge the status quo on how we operate online. Basically fighting this censored and centralized system that is currently in place that makes the users pretty vulnerable. So they're building an efficient, secure and decentralized ecosystem leveraging a lot of DePIN elements. As they say, our goal at OPSEC is to change the way that people experience security, privacy and anonymity. We strive to empower users with a decentralized method that puts them in control of their projects, going beyond just offering a platform. Now, some of the things they solve: lack of security and privacy in private communications. So whatever application we use, we do not have privacy. They intend to solve that. They solve user data ownership, meaning you will have full control of the data through decentralized infrastructures. The best thing is they can do this in a very user-friendly way. Now, my first concern with the project was, okay, can they really pull this off? If this is what it is, it sounds very complicated, people not gonna on board, but their main focus is on making it user-friendly, both for joining the network and providing the infrastructure and using the network. They have something called the Cloudverse, which is like literally the whole ecosystem that I've been talking about. Nodes, validators, miners, VPSs, remote desktop protocols, accessing your computer, GPU, leveraging GPU of other people, and much, much more within one project. Now, we are extremely early with this. They have completed phase 1 of their roadmap. Phase 2 will be to launch the whole ecosystem for real, so we'll be able to see it. I went onto their Twitter and actually wanted to get a note for myself, but I couldn't because they ran out. And then in another tweet, they say, full transparency, here are some stats: 500 plus nodes sold within 24 hours, 1,300 wallets signed up and credit loaded, over $40,000 has been deposited and spent by users. Absolutely insane, absolutely insane. I wanted to be one of these guys, but I actually unfortunately missed it, so I'm waiting for the next round. Tokenomics are also good. They are not listed on any tier 1 exchange, although it is part of their plan. So again, I genuinely believe that this can pull at least a 20-30x. Not financial advice, I'm invested, I'm holding. It has 160 million FDV, which is absolutely nothing. The allocation on the tokens are also great. And if you don't believe me, believe 𝗥𝗲𝗻𝗁𝗂. Why? Because he tweeted, on AI, I've made some very heavy moves into PAL, OXO, and OPSEC. I mean, if Alex Becker is bullish, I have to be bullish as well. Moving on to the next project is Hivemapper. Now, Hivemapper is very, very interesting because they pay you to get a physical device into your car, basically a dash cam, and drive around. Imagine yourself as being a member of the Google Street View team driving around collecting 4K images. And pretty cool about it is that the device itself is built in a way that it blurs out the faces of people, blurs out the license plates and anything else that could be sensitive data, so it never gets sent into the protocol, so it doesn't need to be blurred in post-production. If you go into the Explorer, you will see that the United States and Europe is covered mostly. That means that people are using this. You can zoom into the roads that has been covered already. The good part about this is that if you look at the Explorer up here, if you look at this and if you live in an area that has not been discovered yet, they incentivize people who deploy these in their cars to drive around roads that has not been covered yet, and you can get extra rewards. So if you want to get involved in this, I think this can be very lucrative. I know someone who's making thousands of dollars every month driving basically 0.24, but the possibility of making money here is great. You have a couple of months ROI, and then the tokens you make is basically free money or passive income. Talking about the token, would I buy the token? So the geospatial data market size is predicted to reach around $100 billion by 2027. The problem with that is that if we have a token that has a $2 billion FDV at the beginning of the bull market, I think this is a little bit overpriced. Again, it does not mean that this cannot fly. I just think that you can invest your money in a much better place. Moving on to the next one is Helium. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, I have a little bit of PTSD from here, but I had to revisit because I know they have a lot of things happening. So if you don't know Helium, Helium is basically a LoRaWAN or IoT, Internet of Things network for sensors to be run on them. So you can buy these tiny devices with an antenna, you can put it at your window or at your rooftop, and if there is a sensor that passes close to you, for example, you want to track your dog, then the sensor on the dog will connect to this network, and by connecting the network, you are making money. They have launched 5G in the States as well, and that means you can buy a 5G hotspot and you can put it out in your window, and people can leverage that to use internet through Helium, which is pretty cool and pretty exciting if they can pull this off. Important to mention, for health and other security issues, it's not available in Europe, but it is available in the States if you want to look into that. The problem with buying a Helium miner right now is that the ROI is just huge. Like, you would have 10, 12, 15 months in the best case scenario to ROI from any of these devices. Then the question comes, would you want to buy the token? First, I wanted to identify what the market size is. The market size of the IoT market is predicted to hit 2.3 trillion by 2029. That's an extremely big market. So looking at Helium and the token of Helium, I wanted to see what their FDV is. And I was surprised because it's less than 2 billion. So if you're looking at the market with that size, 2 billion FDV at current prices does not sound a lot, because Helium has already hundreds of thousands of these devices deployed. If you go to the Explorer, you can see that they have 394,000 active hotspots. That means 394,000 devices put out in 394,000 locations. I mean, if the DePIN narrative will pick up, which I think it will pick up, and you see the FDV at 2 billion on a market that can reach 2 trillion within the next 5 years, I mean, I think buying Helium does make sense. I personally would not buy the miners because I think I just know the pain of deploying these miners in a great location, and then the ROI is too much. But buying the token does make sense here. I'm not gonna buy because I have PTSD from this, as I said, but I think it does make sense to allocate a tiny bit of amount into this. The next project I see everybody's talking about on Twitter, on YouTube, is Hivemapper. I had to talk about it. I dig deep into it. I wanted to understand if I'm getting something wrong or not. So yeah, here it goes. So Hivemapper is an established company running for a lot of time. They have 175 million users worldwide. They have an eSIM. They have find a free Wi-Fi around the place, offline mass, pure VPN, Wi-Fi wallets, all that kind of stuff. They have Wi-Fi wallet because they launched a token about a year ago. The idea behind the token is that you provide a place, you mark on a map where free Wi-Fi is, and then you can get tokens, and people who earn these tokens can give you these tokens and tips. But it rather seems like, I'm not saying they are Ponzi, but the tokenomics of this whole thing doesn't really make sense for me. I believe the application is fantastic. I believe it's very great. I think the service that they provide is very good. But as an investment, I would not buy Hivemapper token. If I look at the token, I understand that they have about 150 million FDV, which is not, you know, that's very low if we consider the bulls coming. They're down around 50% from all-time high. The reason why I had to talk about this is because I can't get myself to buy this, and I think you have much better places to invest your own money. So if you see this on YouTube and see this on Twitter, just keep me in mind. Not financial advice, maybe this pulls 1000x and then you can come back to me and let me know if you made money on it. I would just not get it in. And that was today's video, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I loved making this video because I had to revisit this space. I hope it gave you a little bit better idea. I hope it gave you an idea on what projects might be interested in looking into, and I genuinely hope you will make money with DePIN in the upcoming bull. If you like this content, it means the world to me if you leave a great comment. I look through every comment and reply, so please do that. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the channel, but you've already done that, and I believe I will see you in the next one.